bring Cornel West in for part of the conversation here. Of course, knows a lot about protesting himself, the political activist, independent candidate for president in 2024. Joined our conversation on this program many times during that period of time. It's good to have you back, Dr. West. And what's your views? People are interested in your views as you look in on something like this.
Well, one, brother, I want to salute you for having that dialogue with those two brothers. We got to lift every voice. We got to wrestle with these issues in an honest and candid way. And as you know, today's the death, man, of Sly Stone, artistic genius, cultural giant. Put out that album, There's a Riot Going On in 1971. Had another song called Stand. You've been sitting much too long. There's a permanent crease in your right and wrong. We've got to make issues of right and wrong, not just political partisanship here. I think it's bad news to bring the Marines.
What's right? So the right and wrong. So let's start with the Marines. All right. So let's start. So they went to the National Guard. I would assume you probably weren't even in favor of that, right? You were not.
That's right.
Okay. So now the Marines, a step further, and you say.
Absolutely. But anytime you bring your Marines over against U.S. citizens who are protesting, and I'm sorry, I can't be there with them. I believe in peaceful protests and what I believe is right. Now,
not all of this has been peaceful, as you know. Not all of it's been peaceful.
Oh, no, but that's right. When it spills over, then that's wrong, and I agree with that. But the question is that most of them are very peaceful. But when you're provocative, and when you present a situation in which it looks as if it is a threat, then you move toward repression. The way they treated Brother David Fuerte, he's a leader of a major organization, and like anybody else, he deserves his dignity. He's pushed to the ground. His face is pushed to the ground. What kind of sign does that send to his organization? What kind of sign does that send to citizens who, like myself, want to take a stand for what I believe is right in a peaceful way? And
they argue he was obstructing a federal operation. They had a warrant, and he was getting in the way, and he was, and then he deserved to be arrested. I mean, like he's having his day in court today.
That's right. Civil disobedience means you do get arrested. I've been arrested on many occasions. I never should have had my face pushed to the ground in that way. Now I have, and I raised the same protest that I did now that I did then. But it's a matter of trying to ensure that we have processes. When I hear the Trump administration say we're for law and order, and I say, well, January 6th, I didn't see a lot of commitment to law and order. Is your law connected to morality? Is your sense of order connected to justice? If your law has no morality, it's an unjust process. If you don't believe in rule of law or due process, then don't use the language of law and order. It's just a charade for repression. That's what they've got to come to terms with.
Now, when you watch this, though, and say someone agrees with you on the issues and agrees with the protesters on the issues, just hypothetically speaking, right?
Sure.
Do you sometimes hurt your own cause by the way that you carry out your protest against, whatever cause you believe in? In other words, can some of the tactics backfire when you turn to violence, when you're burning cars in the street? I mean, can it have the reverse effect sometimes?
Oh, absolutely. Because one thing to keep in mind, my dear brother, is that no one has full control over everyone who comes to a march.
Right.
And when Martin King came to a march, they still had violence. Does that make him pro-violence? No. He just didn't have control of it. And when you're taking precious children from their families, it is a human response to sometimes go beyond the peaceful. I believe it is wrong, but it is a human response. I can understand it. I do not justify it. So in that regard, it's the police who need to have much more caution. And I think that the brother Steve was making the point about they've got to come up with strategies and tactics that ensure that it's not provocative. It doesn't bring out the worst in the people who are being targeted, crushed, dealing with the repression. That's what it is to have a orderly, legal process in a democracy. You see the decay in our democracy. You see the decline in our democracy when we see 500 Marines on the way to deal with U.S. citizens.
Okay, but if you see the violence sometimes on the side that people can turn against you, can turn against your cause, even if they believe in you sometimes. Now, on that last part, can I just, this will be the last thing, Dr. West, on the issue itself here, other people, what is your argument in favor of, now say everything was peaceful, again, another hypothetical. At the same time, people on the other side would say, well, these people that are being arrested are technically breaking the law. They're here as illegal immigrants. So, why shouldn't they be arrested if they broke the law? So what about the cause of the protest to begin with?
Well, one is you got to have a just process to determine that.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.